Hello and welcome to Our Time. Australian-born, New York-based Tracey Yarad is a pianist and singer and songwriter with jazz sensibilities. Her career has taken her from touring Australia with her original music and having a top 40 single in the 90s to a 7-year residency singing in 5-star hotels in Japan, to running her own music school for 18 years in the Blue Mountains of Australia, and she's just been performing in sellout shows at the Adelaide Fringe. But now she's here with me. Tracey, hello.
Hello, Malcolm. I love that introduction. Thank you.
Well, you probably wrote it because I nicked it from your side.
I didn't write it, but I like the additions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, how cute.
Well, you've done well with the Fringe in 2025.
Yes.
But let's go back to the very beginning, because your story is extraordinary. Because in that little read through, if you add up all those years, you must be 94.
Yeah, I'm about 94 and I've had a little bit of work done.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's going quite well.
You mean you sewed up the seam on your jacket?
Yeah,
that sort of work? So, Tracey, you are an Australian originally.
I certainly am.
We're all born here.
Yep. I'm definitely an Australian.
What happened next when you started to grow up? What happened with your fingers?
Yeah, I loved playing the piano. It was something I was really drawn to. I could not do it. My older sister learnt piano and my mum sent me to a lesson with her once. And she said, go to the lesson with your sister. And when we got home, my mum said to my sister, play what you did today. And she couldn't remember it, but I could. And I was just sitting in the room colouring in. So I guess there's an affiliation or a sense of belonging at a piano for me. So I did all my exams in Australia in classical piano. And then I got into classical singing and I absolutely loved German Lieder. So I didn't expect...
It's quite obscure.
It's obscure.
You should love that.
I didn't expect to then leave school, go from this small country town, Taree, to Sydney, go to the conservatorium, study all of this very highbrow, beautiful music, and end up in an all-girls rock band singing Nutbush City Limits in a very smoky bar.
Of course you do.
And then getting nodules. So
Oh, yes, well, we've all been down that path.
Yep.
No, that's interesting, though, because so many musicians, that's the only sort of lead into the industry, isn't it? And you get to a point where you think, I don't want to do this anymore, but I still want to do it, but I don't want to do it in this environment.
yeah.
Did you feel like that?
What, the smoky environment, do you mean?
Yes.
Oh, it was fabulous when smoking was banned. Because all those years you talked about in Japan, they still smoked. And the businessmen in the hotels loved to smoke cigars and they loved to sit right in front. It was unbearable.
You need really strong air conditioning sucking out that smoke.
You do, but now we don't
But
have
it
that.
can be so harmful to a singer, and so often you are involved in that sort of environment.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
But you toured. Did you tour a lot in Australia?
I did a lot of touring around Australia. I started with that all-girls band, and then most of the girls, we started up with the Australian government. There was an initiative to bring rock music and teach kids in high school about what's it like to be in a band and how do you put a band together. And it was right at the beginning, it was the 80s, wasn't right at the beginning of synthesizers, but I was a keyboard player, I still am. And so that whole sequencing and making your own sounds thing was quite new. So we'd go out and we'd tour New South Wales schools. That was fantastic. And we'd...
daytime?
Daytime. We had this, it was a cushy job. We got paid to rehearse. It's changed now. You've got to pay to play now. No, same.
Yes,
but we were paid to rehearse all week and then we'd get sent out to all these different New South Wales schools. So that was a great gig. And then I joined a band in Sydney with some really incredible musicians in Sydney. Might not know them, but some people would. There was Sam McNally, amazing keyboard player from the band Stylus, which was big, in Melbourne. They were Melbourne-based.
Yep.
Sam had a band in Sydney and he got me in as a songwriter, and I was there with Danielle Gahar and Sam and Rick Price, and we had this beautiful funk group.
Hey, Rick Price, great
Rick
jazz
was in
singer.
the band. Rick was amazing. He was playing bass and singing.
Really?
And I was Danielle, Rick and I were the three front people. We did a lot of touring, and then that band morphed into a completely original band with just me writing and singing up front. And we toured with lots of people. We did a Australia-wide tour with the band America, and I got to sing The Horse with No Name every night with them. And I did a tour. We did Sharon O'Neill. I did Tommy Emmanuel.
Isn't that funny, just saying, well, there's a name to drop,
Yeah.
but just saying the song Horse with No Name,
Yeah.
everybody in an older age group would have instantly gone, where the horse with no name.
Yeah.
It's amazing how a name can just bring back a memory.
Yeah, absolutely. That was such a great song. And a lot of young people know that song.
Yes.
It's amazing.
But working with people like Tommy Emmanuel as well.
Yes, Tommy
Greatest
Emmanuel.
guitarist in
Yeah,
Australia.
he was incredible and so supportive, and really, he was like a musician, more like the musicians I've met in the USA since moving there. They really get behind you and want to see you succeed. Tommy was one of those type of musicians.
But delving into your amazing personal life, what came out of that as a personal thing?
Came out of all of that playing,
The
do you mean?
band, yes.
So, well, it was a funny time for me because most of that touring time I was a part of a religion called the Brahma Kumaris Raja Yoga Foundation, and I was not in a relationship with anybody except for God. I wore white robes and a long plait, and I went to India every year, and I got up every day at 3:30 a.m. to meditate, and it was nearly 7 full years of when I was doing all of that work. So I'd come home with smoke in my hair and all the cables and the bag smelling of smoke, and then get into a white sari and go to the meditation centre. And I would always get people looking at me and going, because, so
Yes,
I had
the
that.
smell stays in your head.
Yeah, I had that. And then I fell in love with someone that was in my band, and he had been married, and his wife ended up leaving him, and he and I were really already great friends. And
Good
so
way to start.
it was a great way. We were friends for 5 years, and we would tour, and we would sometimes share a room because I was celibate, and his wife, I think, felt safe with me being the person that shared the room with her husband, because she was totally safe. Anyway, so that marriage split up, and he and I got very close and ended up in a wonderful marriage for 2 decades until the demise of it, which was completely unexpected and pretty shocking, which is why I'm here, why I've been touring these fringes.
The reason I wanted to tell that story is so that we could move into what your next move was, and we're going to show a little bit of that and talk more about that. But then things went a bit AWOL in your private life.
AWOL, that's a good word, yeah.
Who said, go to New York?
Well, my sister actually dragged me out of bed one day. She went, get up out of your bed. You can't, be like this. Look, you've got a dog, you've got to get up.
Can't be sad and unhappy forever.
You can't. She said, it's long enough. She said, I'm going to go on a trip. She was going to New York and a couple of other places, and she said, you need to come. And so I did, because she's my older sister, and I was a little bit scared of her. So I said, all right, and I got the ticket. So she pushed me, and it was there that my eyes were just opened to, wow, what have I been missing? Because even though I'd toured to many places in Australia and the world, I had never been to the USA. So for me, that's where basically all of my mentors lived, all the jazz musicians and people. And here I was seeing them up close as you and I are sitting now, so it was like, wow.
Were the clubs smoke-filled too?
No, it was already done by then. This was 2016. So air was clean. And the drinks are bigger. They pour you you get a whiskey. The whiskies is much. They don't use little things there. They just go, they keep going.
Yes, I've noticed that in all the movies. They just keep pouring.
Yeah.
What is it about New York that sort of saved your soul, do you think?
I guess it was the music, and it was the fact that I could go and listen to all of these people that I wanted to hear so badly, that if they came to Australia, they were supporting someone else at the Opera House, so you'd never meet them. So it was like drugs in a way. It was like I felt so inspired every time I go into a gig. I was like, oh, this is so...
But they were just playing in a club.
They were playing their own music in tiny clubs, like the 55 bar, which is now closed over COVID, but a tiny little dive bar that had been there for 100 years downstairs, only fits about 70 people in there. And, you're right there, you're sitting with the musicians, and I I didn't know many people, but I used to take a camera with me because I love photographing musicians. It's just a hobby. So I'd start to photograph them, and then all of a sudden...
Is this what's happened with this book?
Not quite. There's art in there. But with the camera, I started to photograph, and then the musicians started to know me as Tracey Yarad, the jazz photographer. So I work in New York.
Jazz photographer.
Yeah, I work in New York as a photographer.
Play keyboard.
Yeah.
And so where did all of this work come from?
So
this is a book that you've released. I'll just hold it there so you can
all
see
these pretty things. So when I was writing the music after the collapse of my marriage, I started to write, and it evolved into this book. And because CDs,
this one.
Show these to the people that don't know what a CD is.
Yes, well,
they're very hard to sell.
It's a shiny round disc inside of there that goes round and round in the player.
It's a very expensive wine glass coaster in there. Yeah. And so with a girlfriend of mine in New York who's also Australian, her name's Nadia Ackerman. She goes as Nachi. She's an artist, fantastic. She's a musician too. But she said, this is such a great project. This is a story. This is a show. And she said, she suggested she'd draw something. And then she came up with the idea, let's get 10 artists, there's 10 songs, let's turn it into a book. And the stories had been written. Right. So it's a storybook with sheet music and...
Oh, right.
It's everything.
We're going to come back in a tick because we're going to talk about the show that Tracey's doing here. And we're going to show you some of Tracey performing, and we'll be back in a tick to do just that. And welcome back to our time. We're talking with Tracey Yarad, who is well, it's hard to describe you, Tracey, because there's so many strings to your bow, including this little book, which is really the story of the show that you did in the Adelaide Fringe, and you'll be repeating again. And it's why you went to New York and what happened to you in New York. The book is well, there's just so much in the book. There's artwork in the book, there's music in the book, there's everything in the book. But let's just talk about the actual show and you playing the piano. So you were born to play. Oh, goodness, that could be a song. I was born to play. Anyway, you were born to play. But what you did, which is very clever, is turned perhaps not such a great personal experience into a storyline. Yes, and it was not intentional. I didn't think, oh, fantastic, I'm having a really horrendous breakup. This is going to make a great show. No, it usually doesn't, but if you can do it in the right way. A horrendous breakup. It's funny, when I describe it to people when I am at a fringe and they say, oh, what's your show about? I say, well, An hour long, I'd say. No, it's about when my husband left me and then they stopped listening, they glaze over. Then one girl said to me the other day, oh, you just get over it, Tracey. And I'm like, no, for my 17-year-old godchild. And then they go, what? So it was hard. We won't go into that. Don't go into it. Part of your story, no. But that's a really important part of the story, isn't it? Yeah, it's not a normal, it's a very different sort of breakup to go through. But the show is positive. It's so positive. The show is positive because it's really like 3 acts, I would say, where I begin by going back into the love and the wonderful, amazing marriage that I had with this man, and which it was. And then it goes into the section where we go off and we live in Japan, and then we come back to Australia and we open an amazing, beautiful music school. And then, so that's like the second section of it. And then... Don't say any more. All right, okay. Because we're just going to show you a clip of part of the show which sings about you being in Japan. Watch this. Lost in translation, living in a foreign nation. Amazing. It's great to hear you actually singing and performing. Well, living now in New York and being able to work with all these people, you've made a record, or an album is the better word for it. Do people still make albums, or is it just now called a download?
When's it going to drop?
Yes,
they say.
when does it drop?
When does it drop? I'm like, where's it going to drop? Oops, I dropped my album.
Excuse me.
Where is it? But yes, people do still make albums, and I record a lot. I've decided life's too short to write lots of songs and leave them hanging around in drawers. I go now and I've started to record and work on music with different people. I mean, the access to musicians in New York
changes everything.
It's insanity. And I've played with some absolutely incredible people and all different types of music. I'm not just writing these singer-songwritery songs, but I'm doing instrumental music, jazz and ambient music and improvised music with lots of different people, and it changed my life.
That's the thing. Don't you feel as we get older, because we will all get older, the variety of both people that we meet in life and the things that we can connect with them for can absolutely and completely change your life. And is that the effect? Is that why you love being in New York, because of that artistic fraternity? Yep,
the artistic fraternity is a great term. I'm
so intelligent sometimes, I frighten myself, to be honest.
He's intelligent. I have met a lot of incredible people, and to also go and change your life and move to the other side of the world in your 50s. I was halfway through my 50s. I left all my really old friends that I adore back here.
That's hard.
But and my family, but I've made so many incredible friends there. It's like they've been my lifelong friends.
It's finding a family, isn't it?
It's finding
the
family.
Other family.
The other family.
Yeah, not the genetic family.
And to tell you the truth, I am so grateful to what did happen to me, because I've had this opportunity at a new life that I would never have had if things had have stayed the same.
Well, we've got a bit more to show as well, so just have a little look at a little bit more of Tracey performing.
I've been searching for memories in my mind of me and you, looking for answers, hoping for clues.
Genuinely lovely stuff.
Thank you.
Where do you feel your career is now moving? Is it to travel the world doing fringes, performances like this?
I do have a lot of fringes going on around the world and in the US and
It's
UK.
the new vaudeville in a way, isn't it?
It's an incredible opportunity doing fringes. It's a stage, it's a place to present your work.
Do you feel there's a lot of criticism, particularly for things like the Adelaide Fringe and the Edinburgh Fringe, too many shows on that people can get around. What do you feel?
Oh, absolutely. The Edinburgh Fringe was daunting. There was 3,500 shows on in one day, and I felt like it was winning the lottery. If one person came into your show, I'm like, oh, I've won the lottery. Look at you.
But the point is, if the diversity of people and to go and actually experience an hour or so with can change your life.
It can.
Because people that have, particularly men and women particularly, who may have gone through similar sorts of experiences, they get the strength of knowing, I overcame this.
They do. And sometimes I feel like, why are you doing this, Tracey? Are you insane? Why are you bringing up this pain? And then I go back, because I love to video people at the end of the show when I've got someone there to do it for me. And I go back and look at them. They're on my website, and I listen to these people and I think, this is why you're doing it.
Yes.
Because they do get affected in incredible ways that are unexpected to me, that I didn't think my story would have that much influence on someone and make someone else feel like they can get over something.
I think probably the most important thing seeing a performance of anybody is to lose your own problems at the door, your own thoughts and so on, and just go for the journey with somebody, and at the end of it being able to process it, because not everything has to be, you know, jumping around and fun and games sort of thing. Some things need to have a little bit more intellectual association with our lives, I suppose.
I think you need a good story in between a comedian.
Yes, always a good story.
You need you need the balance of going to a fringe. You don't want to go and see, you know, 50 comedians in a row.
No, that's true.
You're going to forget who told which joke or who had their pants on or off.
It's important to also understand that the fringe, particularly here in South Australia, is actually a full state fringe. It's called the Adelaide Fringe, but there is in fact stuff going on all over the state. So, and such a diversity. Did you know much about how it happened here before you came? Because it's your first time here.
It's my first time here, and I read a little bit about it, and it was founded in the year I was born. Let's not say that year, though.
Oh, gosh, I was old then too.
So I thought, this is my festival.
Oh, okay. We actually, a long time ago, we had the man who actually founded the Adelaide Fringe, and there are awards under his name, which is just lovely. It's
beautiful.
And although the Fringe was, and of course it's over for 2025, but 2026 is going to be a big one.
Well, I met the lovely people from the Fringe at Edinburgh, you know, at one of their honeypot events, which was amazing, and they were so beautiful.
Where we met.
Yes,
Not there, but here.
yes, we met at a honeypot in Adelaide. Yeah. So.
Look, there's so much to know about the performances as part of a Fringe, and if you did miss the 2025 Fringe, get yourself ready for the 2026, because you just never quite know how that performance is going to change your life. We're going to be back to talk to Tracey about what she wants to be when she grows up in just a moment. Come and join us then. And welcome back to Our Time. The thing I love about doing this program is talking to people like Tracey about their life, because we all have these fascinating things that happen in our life, but not so often do you get a chance to either write it or express it, and in your case, in a show.
Yeah.
So you've done this show. What's your next show, or what do you want to be when you grow up? And is that what you're going to write about next?
Well, what am I going to be when I grow up is one of my mantras. I use that a lot. I think I'll probably never grow up. I can feel it.
Answer.
But the next show, I mean, a lot of people have spoken to me about this show, and there's so much more in it, and there's so much more after it. What I'm fitting into 1 hour for these fringes, it's like so condensed that I think my next move will be to
condense it a bit more and add to the end?
No, we would like to, my director Tessa Suter, who's also my co-writer, we'd like to get ourselves into a residency like MacDowell or Yarad back in the States and write a full screenplay and get this as a TV series or a film.
So that's what you're going to do when you grow up?
Yes, I'm going to hand it over to someone else to act it out.
Right.
And I'm going to stay home and pat the dog.
It won't be like Baby Reindeer, will it?
Well, I hope I hope it's as successful as Baby Reindeer without the ending.
Without the ending.
The real life ending.
Good luck, and good luck for the
Thank
future. You. And if you haven't seen Tracey Yarad in the previous Fringe, make sure you see her in the next one. So until next time on Our Time, thank you very much, Tracey.
I really appreciate this time with you, Malcolm, so thank you.
I appreciate the time with you as well.
Yay.
We appreciate each other so much we have to say goodbye. So until next time on Our Time, keep yourself nice till then. Bye.